Vinland Saga. I think we can all safely agree that if it has one thing going for it, it's the artwork. Makoto Yukimura, a 46-year-old mangaka, started Vinland at the age of 29. It's been going since 2005. This series took a long time to get the recognition that it deserves. He started his career with Planets from 1999 to 2004. It's not bad, especially for a 22-year-old at the time, but it truly demonstrates the entire video I'm about to make with a simple glance of the eye. It was released weekly, and from its simpler backgrounds, you know, with space and all, it makes sense as a fairly easy to manage series. The planets themselves really are just orbs with screen tones. You could say it gave Yukimura the space to write a politically driven sci-fi story for many years, with relative ease. The art style here is in that interesting stage between an aspiring artist and what his style would come to be. You can especially feel this for the eyes of his characters. The front covers were all done with watercolours. The first one was especially dynamic, with background lighting combined with a really cool angle. It made for an impressive first volume. But then, the next covers were a bit more flat. It is still watercoloured, but you'd be forgiven for thinking that it wasn't, as the colour gradients are gone and the angles remain very much portrait styled. To move on to Vinland Saga, the volume covers start to get really interesting here. He committed to a digital drawing style. In the first volume, it's simply line art of Thorfinn, our main character, and it's coloured in digitally for what is a fairly standard piece, but the background gives us a glimpse into the future, with a lively textured digital drawing of a Viking ship. The next covers would start to incorporate not just colour gradients, but texture detail. The line art covers start to come to life as muscles and 3D elements pop forth. Towards more recent times, he's got the line work down to a T, with really great figures and expressions of not just faces, but whole body anatomy. When compared to the beginning with the loose-fitting clothes and the salmon skin of Kid Thorfinn, he's got a beautiful eye for colour in the recent stuff. Not even aiming for realism, there's just great complements of opposing colours to bring forth something as simple as mowed hay, or a character with his grass-dyed clothes, or his skin of water. It comes off looking like one of those early 2000s and late 90s fantasy books, with those colourful front covers that really encapsulated an era and dated them, but also really makes me feel nostalgic. I know that's a really personal and undetailed description for one of these videos, but if you know, you know. The manga itself follows a similar journey. It isn't overly detailed, and in the first few volumes especially, I was even taken back to the initial volumes of Berserk, where the backgrounds and shadows are simple line work, which is filled in with screen tones. Screen tones are those little dots which add texture and shadows at the same time. The blank area of people's faces in particular looks a lot like Berserk did. Time goes by though, and battle sequences, landscapes of nature, and literal maturity take the series down a much more realistic path. The divisive farming arc is another example. Like another series I've covered, Vagabond, it's a story of returning to roots and developing the characters in a naturalistic way. There's plenty of space for drawing plants and panoramas of woodland. When drawing, Yukimura paid attention to drawing hands, as he claims they are more expressive than faces and give a brief explanation of the person's personality. And it's true. Look at Thorfinn's little baby man hands in the first cover, then look at the calloused labourer hands with torn nails and scratches in the later volumes. Sometimes Yukimura goes on hiatus, and I use that word way too much because it's more like 1-month breaks, to actually improve the artwork for the manga. He does this even to this day, but back in 2005, the breaks were a more regular thing. It took 17 chapters for the manga to change magazines, from weekly to monthly, after realising that this release schedule wasn't sustainable at all. 1-week breaks were often, and 2 weeks weren't unusual. But I guess enough 3-week hiatuses were met that they just offered him to move to monthly. And it makes sense, because it's not like the breaks were growing or anything, just that it took about a month for Yukimura to create the manga to his standard. But yeah, it's never been anything serious, and the manga has never been away for longer than 3 months in its current magazine either. He uses a dedicated Twitter where he's really open and friendly to just about anyone. He even sent condolences when he heard of Miura's passing. It's how we learnt about him taking a break here and there, and the purposes behind it. He even retweets fan art and engages with fans, regardless of any language barriers. He counts down moments before the airing of the show, and he's just a wholesome guy all around. When it comes to anime, the first season was done by Wit Studio, but like Attack on Titan, they seem to jump onto something they love and then work on something else when they've done it, as the second season has been picked up by Mappa. The artwork very similarly changing like that of Attack on Titans too. It's not the only similarity that these series share. Yukimura stated a while back that he wanted to end the series after 10 years. He calculated that there would be 20 volumes, with there being 4 parts at about 5 volumes each. but when the amount he'd released increased to over 22 volumes, with no final Vinland arc in sight, he was at a loss. Yukimura respected Hajime Isayama for his work on Attack on Titan due to how he was able to handle the entire plot until the end, especially since its 20th volume was originally meant to be the ending for that series too. Isayama, in turn, said he admires Yukimura for his detailed art and foreshadowing, remarking that the breaks are necessary to create such a consistently high-quality work. So it's a nice friendly rapport the two creators of these series have with each other. At 26 volumes, with an ending still on the horizon, that is the artistic evolution of Vinland Saga. Thanks for watching, and thanks to my patrons. If you've been noticing weekly uploads, that's because I've been building up to my yearly Genius of video. This one is about Monster, and it's over an hour long. Look forward to that. But if you enjoyed the video, like and comment down below, and subscribe for more. Everyone, have a great night.